There's something happening inside you that even you can't explain. Those urges, those habits, those emotional extremes you're ashamed of, what if I told you they are not accidents? What if every addiction you thought was a weakness was actually a divine tool God planted inside the chosen ones to shape your destiny? Stay with me. This will change how you see yourself forever. There's a reason you've never fit into the world around you, and deep down, you've always felt it. The reactions you hide, the impulses you don't talk about, the emotions that explode inside you without warning. The world points at these things and says you're unstable, too intense, too much. But heaven doesn't see chaos. Heaven sees construction. Every chosen one carries patterns that the world misunderstands, because these patterns were never meant to make sense to ordinary people. They call them flaws. They call them emotional imbalance. They call them signs of weakness. But God calls them preparation. The truth is simple. The behaviors you've been trying to fix your whole life might actually be the very tools God placed inside you to shape your mission. Today, you're going to understand why God allows certain addictions, certain inner pulls, certain extreme emotional currents only in souls He handpicked for a spiritual assignment. You will see why your inner world behaves differently, why certain tendencies follow you, why certain habits refuse to disappear. These addictions have a hidden divine purpose, and once you recognize it, everything you've lived until now will finally align. This message is not random. If it chego atevo se, it's because heaven decided it was time for you to wake up to who you truly are. Before we continue, give this video a like so it reaches another chosen one who needs this awakening. Subscribe if you haven't yet. This journey is only beginning. And comment 99 below, because in the spiritual realm, 99 represents the call before completion, the moment God alerts His chosen that they are one step away from revelation. The first addiction God allows only in His chosen ones is the strange, undeniable pull toward isolation, a force that drags you away from noise, even when a part of you wishes you could stay. People around you think you're avoiding them. They assume you're cold, distant, uninterested, but your soul knows the truth. You're not running from the world. You're being summoned inward. Heaven closes certain doors, quiets certain voices, and removes certain energies just to create the silence required for you to hear what others cannot. This addiction to disappearing, to shutting off conversations, to losing interest in crowded rooms, is not weakness. It's training. When God separates you, He isn't punishing you. He's preparing you. And preparation requires a level of spiritual quiet that most people will never experience. In that stillness, He recalibrates your mind, sharpens your intuition, and detoxes you from vibrations that contaminate your calling. In isolation, He restores the parts of you the world tried to break. He cleanses you from expectations that were never meant to be yours. He strips away the noise until only His voice remains. Chosen ones aren't antisocial. They are spiritually summoned into an internal chamber where divine instruction flows like a whisper no one else can hear. And this is why your isolation feels different from loneliness. It doesn't drain you. It recharges you. It doesn't make you smaller. It brings you back to your true size. While others fear being alone, something in you craves it. Because on a level you can't explain, you know solitude is where heaven updates your spirit. But here's the part that shocks most people. The moment you step into isolation, your senses intensify. You notice things you overlooked before. You feel shifts in the atmosphere. You discern people's intentions without needing words. Isolation is the furnace where your spiritual antennas activate. And just when the world assumes you've disappeared for good, that's when God begins building the next version of you, a version stronger, clearer, wiser, untouchable by the darkness that once tried to invade your life. And if you're wondering why this pull toward isolation has been growing stronger lately, it's because something is being prepared behind the scenes. Something you're meant to step into soon. You're not withdrawing. You're being repositioned. And the most mysterious part is this. The silence you're entering now is the doorway to a revelation the enemy hoped you'd never receive. Stay with me, because the next addiction explains exactly why this spiritual shift is accelerating. The second addiction God allows only in His chosen ones is the uncontrollable tendency to feel everything with an intensity that shakes you from the inside out. You cry harder. You love deeper. You sense danger faster than logic can explain. Every emotion hits you like a spiritual earthquake, sudden, overwhelming, impossible to ignore. And while the world labels this as sensitivity, Heaven sees something entirely different. This is not fragility. This is not overreaction. This is a divine antenna wired to frequencies the average soul can't detect. You were built to pick up what others are blind to. Hidden motives, spiritual shifts, emotional storms, silent cries from people who can't express their pain. And because you're tuned to a higher frequency, everything reaches you first. And everything reaches you louder. Sometimes it feels like a blessing. Other times it feels like a torment. One moment you are overwhelmed with compassion. The next you are hit with a heaviness that leaves you breathless, as if you're carrying someone else's storm inside your chest. And here's the part that no one ever told you. Many of the emotions you feel aren't even yours. Chosen ones absorb atmospheres. You walk into a room and feel the tension before anyone speaks. You sense when someone is lying, even if every word sounds sweet. You detect spiritual danger before the attack arrives. This emotional intensity is not just a trait, it's a shield, a warning system, a supernatural radar created to keep you one step ahead. That's why you can't ignore certain feelings, even when everyone around you says, you're imagining things. You're not imagining anything, you're perceiving what they can't see. And because of this ability, you often end up carrying burdens no one realizes you're holding. You feel the weight of broken hearts. You sense when someone is silently suffering. You notice subtle shifts that others overlook. It's exhausting, but it's also sacred. Your heart was built to stretch deeper because your purpose requires a capacity greater than the average soul can handle. This emotional overintensity becomes your weapon. It sharpens your intuition. It heightens your discernment. It turns you into the kind of spiritual warrior who can detect danger before it manifests, and who can comfort someone before they collapse. Yet there are nights when you wonder, why does everything hit me so hard? Why can't I just feel normal for once? The truth is, normal is too small for your calling. Your emotional intensity is a tool God uses to guide you, warn you, and align you with people and places connected to your destiny. It hurts deeply, but it protects fiercely. And the most shocking part is this. The emotional storm you're feeling right now might not be a burden at all. It might be a divine signal that something is shifting around you. Something that requires your spirit awake and alert. Keep watching, because the next addiction will reveal why your heart keeps getting pulled into battles you never asked for, but were chosen to win. The third addiction God allows only in His chosen ones is the relentless urge to help people who would never help you back. And the truth is, you don't help them because they deserve it. You help them because something inside you refuses to look away from brokenness. You bleed for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. You rescue people who would let you drown without hesitation. You pour love into hearts that have never learned how to hold it. This behavior confuses everyone around you, but the confusion does not reach heaven. God designed you this way. He wired you to be a bridge, not a wall. Someone who carries others across gaps they cannot cross alone. Your heart doesn't judge behavior. It sees souls. It sees potential buried under pain. It sees the divine spark beneath someone's worst mistakes. And yes, it hurts. It hurts to give what you rarely receive. It hurts to show up for people who vanish the moment you need them. It hurts to carry emotional weights that were never yours to begin with. But this isn't naivety. It's assignment. It's evidence that God trusts you to step into places where compassion is dying and recreate what humanity has forgotten. You are a healer in disguise, a protector who walks undetected, a restorer who carries silent authority. Heaven sends you into broken rooms, shattered families, wounded hearts, because you carry what others cannot produce, spiritual endurance, and a love that doesn't quit. But because you love deeply, you also break deeply. And it's in those moments of exhaustion, when you feel spiritually drained, emotionally wounded, and unable to understand why you care so much, that many chosen ones begin to question themselves. If you've ever felt like that, listen carefully now. I created this ebook specifically for people who feel spiritually heavy, emotionally wounded, and stuck in cycles they can't explain. Chosen ones, hurt in love, struggling in finances, yet God rebuilds. Everything is the guide I wish every chosen one had. If you've been feeling lost, this will bring clarity and direction. The link is in the pinned comment. Get your copy while it's available. This hunger to uplift others, even when they wouldn't lift you, is more than a trait. It's a calling. You weren't sent to mirror the world's coldness. You were sent to interrupt it. And here's the paradox that shocks many chosen ones. The people you help aren't always the ones who will reward you, but heaven always repays what humans overlook. Every seed you planted in silence becomes a harvest God delivers publicly. Every pain you carried for someone else becomes a breakthrough God releases into your own life. Every tear you shed preparing someone else's soul becomes the water that grows your next season. And yet, the most mysterious part is this: the very people you're helping right now may be teaching you a spiritual lesson you don't fully understand yet. Something is forming in the background, something connected to your purpose, something that will make every sacrifice finally make sense. Stay with me, because the next addiction reveals why your spirit keeps fighting battles that don't belong to you, and why heaven keeps trusting you with them. The fourth addiction God allows only in His chosen ones is the impossible to ignore craving for truth, a craving so strong that it often breaks you before it frees you. You can't swallow lies. You can't pretend everything is fine when something inside you screams that it isn't. You can't tolerate manipulation, distortion, or half-truths designed to keep people asleep. And while the world sees your questioning as rebellion, heaven sees something entirely different. It's discernment, a spiritual instinct that refuses to let you settle for illusions. You were not created to live on the surface where everyone else feels comfortable. You were created to see beneath, beyond, behind. While others accept explanations without thinking, you dissect things that don't add up. While others trust appearances, you sense what is hidden. While others cling to comforting lies, you stand face to face with uncomfortable truth, even when it shakes your entire foundation. This addiction to truth is not a choice. It's survival. Chosen ones cannot function without alignment. Falsehood drains your spirit. Pretending suffocates your soul. Even white lies leave a bitter taste in your discernment. And here's what makes your journey even more intense. God whispers the real story to you long before the truth becomes visible. A subtle shift in someone's tone, a sudden heaviness in the atmosphere, a strange uneasiness when everyone else is celebrating. Your spirit picks up on it instantly. You sense danger before the threat appears. You recognize betrayal before it unfolds. You detect spiritual contamination before anyone else notices the smoke. And because of this, you often see reality long before others are ready to admit it. This used to frustrate you, being ahead of everyone else, seeing what they refuse to see, warning people who won't listen. But now you're learning that this ability isn't meant to make you fit in, it's meant to set you apart. This addiction to truth has shaped you into someone who cannot be manipulated, someone who cannot be controlled, someone who cannot be deceived by sweet words or spiritual counterfeit. It sharpens your wisdom. It strengthens your intuition. It turns you into a warrior who walks with eyes wide open in a world that prefers to stay blind. But there's another layer to this gift, one most chosen ones only discover after being broken by it. The truth you uncover about others is nothing compared to the truth God reveals about you. This addiction forces you to confront your own patterns, your wounds, your shadows, your spiritual calling. It strips you of excuses. It pushes you out of denial. It demands that you rise into the version of yourself God has been waiting for. And though the process burns, it also purifies. The lies you can't tolerate aren't just external, they're internal too. You can't lie to yourself even when it would be easier. You can't stay where you don't belong, even when it feels familiar. You can't pretend to be someone smaller than your purpose, even when shrinking would make everyone else more comfortable. And the most mysterious part? Every time your truth-seeking spirit senses something, it's because heaven is preparing you for a revelation, one that will alter your path and shift your destiny. Stay with me, because the next addiction reveals why your soul refuses to rest until everything hidden finally comes to light. The fifth addiction God allows only in His chosen ones is the intense, relentless pressure you put on yourself. A pressure no one else demands, yet you carry it as if the entire spiritual world is watching your every step. You demand more of yourself than anyone else ever would. You push beyond your limits. You strive for excellence even when your energy is gone. You keep improving even when no one is clapping. Nobody sees the silent battles you fight inside your own mind, the internal expectations you feel obligated to meet, the invisible weight that sits on your shoulders from the moment you wake up. And the reason this pressure never disappears is simple. Your soul knows you were born with a mission. Even when you can't articulate it, even when you doubt it, even when you feel unworthy, something deep inside you refuses to let you settle. You can't slow down because stagnation feels like spiritual death. You can't shrink yourself to make others comfortable because your spirit revolts against anything less than alignment. You can't just be normal because normal would suffocate the destiny God planted in your chest. This addiction to self-pressure isn't about perfectionism, it's about responsibility. A responsibility you never asked for, but one your spirit accepted long before your mind understood. Chosen ones carry an ancient awareness, a sense that their decisions ripple beyond the present moment. You feel accountable not just for yourself, but for the people connected to your calling. You're the one others silently rely on. You're the one who fixes what no one sees breaking. You're the one who keeps going when everyone else collapses. And because of this, you often feel like you're disappointing heaven whenever you fall short, even though no one else sees the war you're fighting. You don't let yourself rest easily. You don't allow mistakes without internal punishment. You don't forgive yourself at the same pace you forgive others. And yet this pressure is not cruelty. It's activation. It keeps your spirit vigilant. It pushes you into growth you would never choose voluntarily. It reveals levels of strength you would never encounter without it. But here's the hidden truth almost no one understands. The pressure you feel is actually proportional to the magnitude of your calling. The heavier the responsibility inside you feels, the greater the impact you're destined to make. God allows this self-pressure because you're being prepared for positions that require spiritual endurance, emotional intelligence, and a level of resilience ordinary hearts cannot handle. That inner voice that tells you, do better, rise higher, keep going, is not condemnation, it's guidance. It's the echo of the future version of you calling you forward. And even in moments when you break down and feel like you've failed, heaven isn't disappointed, heaven is shaping you. And the most mysterious part of all is this. That crushing pressure you feel right now may be the final stretch before a breakthrough you've been unknowingly preparing for your entire life. Stay with me, because the next addiction exposes a spiritual pattern that only appears right before God elevates a chosen one to their next season. The sixth addiction God allows only in His chosen ones is the strange, almost supernatural compulsion to rise again. No matter how many times life has tried to bury you, you break, but you rebuild. You collapse, but you rise. You've walked through nights that should have destroyed you, seasons that would have swallowed anyone else whole, and storms that left scars no one can see. Yet somehow, you keep returning to your feet. People don't even know how many times you've had to drag yourself back to life. They only see you standing. They never saw the nights you slept with a broken spirit. They only see your strength. They never witnessed the moments you fell apart in silence. They admire your resilience, but they have no idea how many times you had to whisper, God, I can't take this anymore, before He lifted you again. This reflex, this near supernatural bounce back, is not human strength. No body holds that much endurance. No mind carries that much fire. This is divine reinforcement, a holy resilience stitched into your soul long before you ever faced your first battle. Every fall has shaped you, sharpened you, carved wisdom into your bones, and prepared you for higher levels you're only beginning to understand. While others collapse under pressure, something inside you refuses to stay down. It's as if heaven has planted a command within your spirit. Rise. You rise because the assignment isn't finished. You rise because there's still someone you're meant to reach. You rise because your next chapter requires a version of you that can only be forged through struggle. That's why certain hits felt so personal. They were personal. The enemy targeted you because he knows most people quit, but chosen ones resurrect. You rise without applause. You rise without support. You rise without clarity. You rise without knowing how you'll make it. And every time you get back up, something inside you becomes unshakable. You don't rebuild the same. You rebuild upgraded. You don't come back wounded. You come back wiser. You don't return empty. You return spiritually armed. And the most mysterious part is this. Every time you rise, your spirit absorbs a new layer of authority. Authority that intimidates darkness, authority that activates favor, authority that signals to heaven that you're ready for the next stage. That's why your comebacks feel so different, because they're not just recoveries, they're promotions. And if you're feeling tired of rising, drained from rebuilding, exhausted from fighting battles no one knows about, understand this. The pressure you feel right now is often a sign that you are rising into a level you've never reached before. Stay with me, because the final addiction reveals the one spiritual pattern that proves God never stopped speaking to you, even in your darkest moments. The seventh addiction God allows only in His chosen ones is the unexplainable, unbreakable pull toward His voice. A connection that refuses to die, no matter how far you drift or how loudly life tries to drown it out. You can try to run. You can try to numb your feelings. You can try to silence your intuition and pretend you don't sense the shift happening around you. But God still finds you. He reaches you through dreams that feel more real than your waking life, through signs that appear at the exact second your hope begins to crack, through restlessness that won't let you settle in places that were never meant to hold you, through sudden clarity in the middle of the night when your mind is exhausted but your spirit is wide awake. This addiction is not a flaw. It is your spiritual tether, an invisible cord connecting you to the divine, a channel heaven refuses to shut down. Chosen ones cannot disconnect because heaven refuses to let them walk blind. And even when you try to shut God out, His voice slips through the cracks of your defenses. A thought that wasn't yours. A warning that appears before danger arrives. A peace that comes out of nowhere just when anxiety reaches its peak. A whisper that says, "Don't go there. Don't trust that. Wait. Move." God speaks to you in ways that bypass logic entirely. Sometimes He speaks by stirring your spirit until you have no choice but to change direction. Other times He speaks by removing things you didn't have the courage to let go of. And then there are moments when He speaks through heartbreak, not to punish you, but to protect you from paths that would have destroyed your purpose. Many people mistake this sensitivity for paranoia, but you know better. This connection is the only reason you're still standing after everything you've lived. Without it, you would have walked into traps meant to ruin you. Without it, you would have bonded with people sent to derail you. Without it, you would have wasted years in places never assigned to your calling. This addiction to hearing God is why you've always felt different, even when you tried to blend in. Other people can ignore signs. Other people can silence conviction. Other people can dismiss their intuition. You can't. The moment you try to step out of alignment, something inside you tightens. A discomfort you cannot ignore. That's heaven tugging at your spirit. That's your destiny refusing to let you wander too far. And the most mysterious part? The more intense your spiritual calling becomes, the louder God speaks. Not always in volume, but in clarity. He speaks in patterns. He speaks in symbols. He speaks in sudden knowing. And if lately you've been feeling a stronger pull, more dreams, more signs, more coincidences, more warnings, it's because something is unfolding around you. Something you're meant to be awake for. Something heaven does not want you to miss. Stay right here, because now we enter the most important part of this entire message. The conclusion that ties every addiction, every battle, and every spiritual shift into one life-changing revelation. You've reached the moment everything has been leading to, the moment where the pieces finally click into place. Listen closely, because what I'm about to say is not just a conclusion, it's a calling. You are not broken. You are not unstable. You are not a mistake. That heaviness you carried had meaning. Those impulses you feared had direction. Those emotions that felt too loud for your body to contain were signals only a chosen one could receive. Every addiction, every intense pull, every strange pattern that made you feel different your whole life was designed with purpose. Heaven has been shaping you in silence. God has been refining you through what you used to call weakness. He has been sharpening your soul through the very things the world judged. He has been preparing you through the tendencies you tried to hide. Nothing in you is random. Nothing in you is wasted. Nothing in you is accidental. You are different because your calling is different. You were never meant to blend in, to fit in, to shrink into the expectations of ordinary people. You were crafted for spiritual territory others cannot walk through. And now the truth stands in front of you with undeniable clarity. Your addictions were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to reveal you. Reveal your strength. Reveal your discernment. Reveal your resilience. Reveal your connection with the divine. Reveal the mission you were born carrying in your spirit long before your first breath. And from today on, walk knowing this truth as if it were carved into your very bones. God has been working in you all along, and your hidden purpose is about to rise. Not someday, not eventually, now. This is your activation moment. This is your spiritual ignition. This is where you stop apologizing for who you are and start stepping into who you were destined to become. If this message awakens something inside you, declare it in the comments as a prophetic act. Type, I rise by purpose. Let those words seal what heaven has just unlocked in you. And remember, the world hasn't seen your final form yet, but they will. Soon. Very soon.